Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Critical Podcast. My name is Jimmy Good, and I'm your host. And joining me this week is my buddy, my old friend, Mr. Levi Fletcher. Levi, how are you doing, pal?
Oh, hi. That's me.
Yeah, exactly. It's you. It's you. You're right here. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing?
Who's his buddy? Who's his pal? I'm like, oh, he's talking about me.
Yep, that's you. How are you been, man?
Good, buddy. How are you?
I'm just fine. Thank you so much. Thank you for everybody else who's joining us here. If you're joining us for the first time, we talk movies, games, TV shows, theme parks, music, anything pretty much that we love so very, very much. We've been doing it for a while now. But before we get into this week's review, not that we do a review of every week, but, sometimes we do. I want to talk about a little bit of news first in the gaming movie sphere. So, Levi, okay, I know that you love Batgirl. I know you're so excited about the film that's coming up. You love Joss Whedon and you love all that. You love it so much. Okay, I know that might not be true necessarily. Joss Whedon left that project a little while ago, but they just found somebody else. I believe her name is Christina Hodson, who'll be writing Batgirl, and she is actually working on the upcoming Bumblebee film. She's the one who wrote that. Does that make you more excited, less excited for Batgirl? How much?
No, just stop all those projects. Everything that you just listed, please stop.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And the weird thing is, she's writing this Bumblebee film, but it's going to be the last one before Transformers, I think, is going to get a full reboot. So, I guess we'll go off this movie to guess how, the writing and how the feel maybe will be, or the story will be for this movie.
All I heard was Vanessa Hudgens is going to be in Bumblebee.
No, not Vanessa. No. Definitely not. Yeah, we'll see about Batgirl. I think that's an uphill battle, but I think DC's got a lot of uphill battles in front of it, but that's okay. That's just one of Warner Brothers' not things that's working the best. However, something that is a Warner Brothers property, I think it still is. Is it technically? I'm not sure anymore, really, but Lord of the Rings. All right, so Lord of the Rings. Yeah, we love Lord of the Rings here. We love it so much. Apparently, for people who haven't heard, it's going to get an Amazon show, a show on Amazon. They have dedicated themselves to, believe it or not, 5 seasons of this. It's going to take place before Fellowship of the Ring, which is pretty nuts to me. And apparently the price tag for the entire thing is going to be about $1 billion. And yes, billion with a B. That is insane. Am I right, Levi? That's pretty crazy, budget-wise.
Yeah, that's nuts. Is it all before Lord of the Rings? None of it's going to have
I don't know if it's the first... It sounds like they're starting at least before that. I don't know if it's going to run up parallel and then after. Maybe.
This might just be them setting up the Watch on the Shire.
Maybe, or maybe they're doing something with the North, with the Witch King of Angmar, and maybe they're going to do some Dunedain stuff, or
no more prequels. Yeah,
whatever. I'm not sure. Yeah, well, it sounds like it's trying to strike at a time when Game of Thrones is kind of getting into the spin-offs, and Amazon wants their own thing. But
we'll talk when they pull it off, okay?
Yeah, well, I'm just excited, man. I don't care. Just get Ian McKellen back as Gandalf.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
he wants to do it, man. He said he's the only guy who should do it. He's I'm old. Gandalf's 7,000 years old or whatever. He's I'll just do it. Well, it's fine.
And Elijah looks like a 12-year-old boy, so it'd be fine.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't necessarily have to do with him. I wouldn't be surprised to see this be maybe every season is following something different, or every couple episodes it's a different point of view. It wouldn't necessarily need to follow the one human from Gondor or something boring like that. It can go anywhere with it, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and there's a lot of lore there, so they could go really far back if they wanted to. I don't know if this is going to try to set up, more of Sauron's stuff. I don't know if this is going to take place before The Hobbit even. There's 60 years there in between. I don't know what you do 5 seasons worth, but I'm excited because I love Lord of the Rings.
5 seasons?
5. That's why I said 5. Cinco de seasino. I don't know what Spanish is for season. But yeah, 5 seasons. That's crazy, right? I don't know if that's a 10 or if that's a full order, if that's going to be 22 episodes. I think it'll be more like 10.
This is what we're going to get. The first season's 10 episodes long, and it takes them 10 episodes to find Aragorn and say hi. And then it cuts. And then we have to wait for 2 years for season 2.
What if Orlando Bloom gets announced as being one of the lead actors, and they're we're going to follow Legolas's footprints right after The Hobbit, Battle of the 5 Armies, and he's trying to find a young Aragorn. And it's Aragorn's upbringing. Is that a possibility here?
I don't know why they had to make his eyes look so weird.
I don't get it either.
Me. They were perfect in Fellowship and the other movies. Why did you have to make him look so weird?
Yeah, plus he's really buff in this one. He's just
yeah, it's you didn't need to bulk up that much. You weren't. It's you got fatter or thinner as you before time went on. Yeah.
He's like, oh, I gotta cut back on this stuff.
Yeah.
Living outside Mirkwood has made him thin.
We're gonna get like Orlando Bloom tweeting critical reviews.
I would love it. Mr. Bloom, I know you're watching the show. We'd love to have you on sometime.
We know you're watching the show.
Is there anybody from the original Fellowship besides the Hobbits that you personally would just love to see, though, just show up for a little bit in one of these seasons for Lord of the Rings, the TV series?
I mean, seeing Sean Astin still in Stranger Things, he still looks good for the most part. So why not? Get some Liv Tyler back and sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But those are the ones besides without
I mean, I don't know. We can take all of them could pretty much be in there. Merry and Pippin. Lost has been off the air for like 8 years, so why not? He's not tied up with that project. Let's be real.
Here's my thought: is that right now I'm having this great idea.
Spoiler.
We know that Sean Bean has been in TV. Game of Thrones. Obviously, he's been doing other things too. We know that the guy who played Faramir, whose name escapes me right now, that guy, he was the bad guy in Iron Fist season 1. Why don't we do one of these seasons based around that brotherhood and those two fighting? That little tease we got in Two Towers, the extended edition, of Boromir always being like the hero and Faramir trying to like please his father. Like, wouldn't that be cool to see those guys go on missions together? That would be sick. Great. I would love. That's what I'm talking about. Give me just like the little snippets. I don't need to follow one person's journey for 5 seasons. Give me just little bits and pieces all over the place. I think that would be the best. Am I right? Like, that's what I want to see, man. Give me that. I love that. I love that brotherhood. Ooh, Gandalf, like Aragorn. I don't think Viggo Mortensen would come back. Maybe he would. Would you want to see Viggo?
I don't think he's really interested in acting as much anymore, but
yeah, he's kind of done some like other stuff on the side, and not as big. Like the last big thing I remember seeing was like Hidalgo or History of Violence, which I never saw. But I need to look up this actor quick because it's gonna bug me. Faramir, David Wenham. Wenham? Yeah, but I would just love to see him. That's all I'm just saying. I would just love to see that those guys come back, and but also give some no names a chance too. That's all I'm saying. I'm excited about Levi. Where are you on the hypometer? Give me a 0 to 100 degrees hypometer wise.
Is Peter Jackson tied to this?
We don't know yet.
If he's not, I'm at like a 10. If he is, and we get another flippin' TV version of The Hobbit, I'm at like a 3. I don't want to see that again.
Yeah. I think they'd give him more time, though. This wouldn't be rushed out. This would be like, they're going to take their time with this. They're going to really wait.
Why was The Hobbit rushed? We had like so many years to do it.
Okay, I was just watching this really cool video by, I believe, she used to be the Nostalgia Chick, but now her name is, I think, Lindsay Ellis. Let me double check this quick. It's very fascinating. You guys should go check this out. But she does like this autopsy, she calls it, and there was a 2-part one, but it got turned into 3 parts because it's part of the joke of like that there was supposed to be 2 Hobbit movies and they got turned into 3. But she went and actually interviewed the guy who played Oin, one of the dwarves, and they talk about like all the stuff that happened kind of behind the scenes, and some of that information gets out there where it's like WB wanted this to be finished up and Guillermo del Toro was taking too long to get off the ground. He spent 18 months living in New Zealand and then he ended up leaving. Peter Jackson got called in, and it was like this whole crazy thing because he was only going to be there to executively produce The Hobbit, but then it just was like insanity. But so he was forced into it, and a lot of it was to make sure that like New Zealand still was like where they shot it, because if he wasn't there to say, hey, this needs to happen in New Zealand, they would have gotten a new director and then shot it somewhere else, which would have been really sad.
They should have struck while the iron was hot about 5 or 6 years ago, given it Peter Jackson the time and the money just to do it. Yeah, I know he wanted to do it, didn't he? Before?
No, it was Guillermo del Toro that was going to do it, and then he was going to make it more of like kind of Guillermo del Toro's style, where it's like a little more fantastical. It wasn't as grounded as like Peter Jackson's was, and he just like some stuff came up, and he decided to leave, and then they just kind of forced Jackson into it, and it just sucks because
Peter Jackson's choice to do a trilogy, though. That's what. It's like
it wasn't. He wanted to do 2.
Oh.
They wanted to do 2 at first, and then the company or the like W was like, "We're gonna do 3. We're doing 3. If you don't do 3, we'll find somebody who can." And one of the guys said it really well. He's like, "It was like laying down track in front of the train. Like that's how every day." I was like, and you can see it behind this. Like he looks just like horrible. Like he loses a ton of weight, and he just is like he's always just like he's always just like just haggard, and he's on set just like I don't know what I'm gonna do. And like the fact that we still got like okay films.
Yeah, it wasn't It really wasn't that bad. It really wasn't like a 2%. Honestly, they did mostly fan service, and then mostly some stuff was just like pulled out of their ass. But
Yeah. Well, and the Tariel stuff I just found out was actually all reshoots. When Evangeline Lilly signed on originally, she's like, I don't want to be part of another love triangle. And they're like, we're not going to make you do that. And then when they came back for reshoots, they're like, hey, it'd be kind of nice if like you. I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, and you could see her cringing in these interviews talking about it, where she's like, I don't want to be part of a love triangle. And then they forced me into one. It's like, so that's why all of her stuff feels so tacked on, because they literally did tack it on at the end. It's like,
oh, really? She wasn't shot at all in the beginning.
She did all the other action stuff and all the other stuff that was main, like that plot wise stuff. But then they forced that other stuff in as for reshoots.
To give her more depth. And it's like, man, she would have been fine as just like another Arwen character that was kind of in it, but not really fleshed out, which was fine. It added a lot of mystery to her.
Yeah, well, the problem, the issue was that in I think The Hobbit, and Lindsay talked about this too. She said that there's only one female mentioned in that entire book, and it's one of the Bilbo's ancestors that's already dead. There aren't like any women in that, and there's only like a handful of them in Lord of the Rings. So forcing Arwen to take over like a part for Glorfindel where she saves Frodo in the beginning, where she's on the white horse and the ring racer chasing her, like that was not supposed to be Arwen, but they put Arwen there. I was like, oh, that's cool. But in this one, it was just bad. They just made a brand new character, and they're just like, we're gonna be a love triangle. Yeah. Good luck. Like, yeah, but it's fascinating. I highly recommend you watch it. They're pretty lengthy, but they're very, very good, and it's just fun to watch. So, and she actually went to New Zealand, which is cool to see, like the set that's taken care of and all that. So I'm excited to see part 3, whatever it is. But yeah. So anyway, you're it's very dependent. For me,
very skeptical.
I am cautiously optimistic. Yeah. I'm gonna say 80%.
I'll say 80% too then.
Yeah, and then this way people can get off my back about Game of Thrones. They'll be like, I got Lord of the Rings coming. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh, you still need to watch Game of Thrones.
Eventually when it's done.
Why don't we do that'd be fun. Let's do a Game of Thrones commentary, or critical review style.
For every episode?
Every episode, sure. We got free time.
Yeah, that'll be just so easy. We'll just do that. It'll be great. It'll be just
It'd be a
simple.
fun weekend project.
It would not be a weekend project. Oh my gosh.
No, I meant like it would be like a fun thing to do on the weekends.
Okay. I was like,
it'll take some time, but
you're like Joe. Like Joe will just be like, we should just do this. I'm like, did you realize how long this would take?
There's 10 episodes every season. That's 10 weekends. We can get the first season done in like 2 months.
Wait, did you say 10 episodes every season, and that's 10 weekends?
Yeah.
No,
we can watch a couple episodes during a weekend.
Let us know in the comments below if you want that, because I think people would be like, "Oh, good, we're gonna force them to watch." Like Jimmy's gonna watch this, I'd be like, "Oh, this is a very uncomfortable scene. This would be great. Let's watch this together, everybody." Anyway, we're moving on. Levi, I don't want to talk about this. I want to talk about some things that mean a lot to me. First and foremost, Ghost Recon Wildlands. Now, I know you might not be crazy into that game. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun, but something very special is happening. The voice of Sam Fisher, the one and only Michael Ironside, is back playing Sam Fisher in this new update. I'm sure it's paid or whatever, where you can play as the ghosts and you help Sam Fisher out on a special mission. I watched a little interview with Michael Ironside, who was great. Apparently in the Splinter Cell, I think it's called Blacklist, the last one they did, it was voiced by somebody completely different, but no one's acknowledging that, and he himself just said, he's like, I am Sam Fisher. I'm like, perfect, you're back, great. Which is just teasing. Exactly, dude. It was basically like that. All I'm saying is that this teases the Splinter Cell reveal at Ubisoft, which I don't even care if you care about it, Levi, because I really care about it. Like, I am so stoked. Michael Ironside is so good, and I like Conviction. It's such a fun game, and that one's backwards compatible now. I think I'm going to stream it sometime. Levi, I think you might like it. It's third-person stealth, but you're dropping people, like, all the time. Like, you feel like a professional, man. It's like, it's so good. I don't know.
Splinter Cell to me is like a classical band, like AC/DC or Guns N' Roses. Like, people have a lot of respect for them because it's a classic and it's been around for a long time. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm not a big fan of AC/DC or Guns N' Roses, but I still respect the game because it's got a lot of good things going for it. They've had a very steady stream of games over the past decade.
Or two or whatever.
Or two, yeah. I mean, it's been a while, and they've had some solid hits, and they haven't done anything that's really shot themselves in the foot like a Call of Duty, mishaps every now and then.
like Ghost or something.
Yeah, no, they've had like a steady stream of games, and it's been respectable, and I can respect them as a franchise for sure.
Well, it's
maybe not for me, but
it's been dormant for a while. And the last one, like I said, they didn't use Ironside, and he was kind of like a big pull for a lot of people. And I really loved Conviction. That was the one that I got into. Double Agent was like one of the first games I had on 360, and it was like too intense for me when I was younger. It was like too advanced. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. But I did enjoy it. But I'm just excited about it, and I'm really hoping that they show this off, because it's one of those IPs that like they've been doing third-person stealth stuff for a while now, and it's just like they got to bring it back, especially if Ironside wants to be in there. Like I'm excited about. Like people really love Metal Gear, and I get it, and like that was like their stealth third-person thing. But like for me, because I didn't get into that earlier, like Sam Fisher, it's always been like a James Bond is to Ethan Hunt as Snake is to Sam Fisher, and I've always preferred the latter. Like I've always been like, yeah, give me that guy. Like, oh, give me that gravelly voice, old guy who's gonna kill everybody. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I've slept on Metal Gear Solid the last decade also, and I never really got into it. So,
well, the cool thing is that they acknowledge this in this DLC. Spoiler alert here for anybody, but I just watched this. It's so good. Sam Fisher goes to talk to one of the handlers in this Ghost Recon Wildlands DLC thing. And he said, he's kind of talking about like, working and all that stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, there was this other guy who was like infiltration specialist, and he used to wear a bandana or something. And the handler, she says, oh yeah, I think he retired, referring to like Snake. And he's like, oh, so then it's only me. Like, it's like he's having the realization. He's like, I'm an old guy, and I'm like the guy who's still here. I was like, that's so cool. Like this stealth franchise is like saying like, hey, yep, we know you're another stealth franchise, and I'm like, I love that stuff. Like I would love to see those two work together, but Konami, is kind of not the best right now. So maybe one day. But yeah, I love hearing his voice. I love having him back. And man, I'm telling everybody right now, if you want to bet, you want to put your quarters and chips down on something, you put it down on Splinter Cell being at Ubisoft. It's coming. E3, calling it right now. It's happening, Levi. Get hyped. You're gonna see those little goggles, like the sonar goggles go off, and you'll think of me. How people think of me.
I just remember watching G4 back in the day and watching them always cover.
Dude, yeah, I remember seeing that, and they were doing the mark and execute thing, because in that game, if you killed somebody, you were given this ability to like you could mark like 2 or 3 people, and then you could kill them like instantaneously. And this guy they're doing like the gameplay demo of it, and the guy was using that, so it made him look like he was so good. And they were talking about it afterwards, and they're like, that guy, whoever was playing that demo was like a professional. Like that guy was so good. I was like, yeah, that game makes you feel cool. Also, I love that you compared it to AC/DC, because I love AC/DC. So I'm like, yeah, baby, compare it to that, man. I love that. Give me that. Put that all in the mix together. That probably wouldn't listen to that while I played it, but be like really loud. Anyway, I'm just excited about it. I want to know if other people are excited about Splinter Cell. I'm excited about Splinter Cell because it's so cool. The goggles, the cool like knife, and the gun, the little pistol. Oh, so good. All right, I'm moving on. Moving on to a game that we talked about so much, but I like to bring it up every once in a while because it's one of those things that I just love to just still watch from afar. It's one of those things. It's like a relationship where we left on mutual terms, and we could sit down and have a meal together when we want. But that's Overwatch. Overwatch is doing it's called Retribution. It's an event that started I think yesterday, and it's going through April 30th. And there's a PvE event where you can play as either Reaper, Genji, Moira, or McCree. And you get to go through kind of like their Uprising events, but you go through as a Black Watch mission that happened 8 years ago and shows all of them when they were playing as this kind of like Splinter Cell almost of Overwatch. And I don't know, it looks kind of cool to me. Like, Levi, does that spur anything in you?
I have the same relationship with Overwatch. I've been playing it played it so much the last couple of years that I'm just on a break from it right now, but it's definitely a game I still respect and still view from afar, still get the tweets, still get the updates. I still like to see what's going on with it, just like, wow, just games that you really enjoy at one point and you still want to see how they grow. I love that they're still releasing just phenomenal content, one thing after another. I'd still like to see some unique champs coming up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that's a Blizzard for me though. Like Heroes of the Storm, I don't really play a lot. Like it goes in waves, but I'll like see a new character like Deckard Cain. They just announced like, oh, that's such a weird character.
He looks cool.
I'm like, that's like we should play. You know, it's like we can jump back in anytime, but we don't have to feel like we have to play every day, which is nice. But
absolutely.
yeah, I'm kind of interested to jump back into this because I love Reaper. We did this video a long time ago. This video series I want to bring back, but it's called Legion Legends, and he was the first one we did one on, and it's the only one we have right now. But I loved doing that, going into his backstory and stuff. And there's a lot more to Reaper that meets the eye, and I just love that character. I love that idea of like I don't keep saying Splinter Cell, but just like a Black Watch group or a Black Ops group that's going through and doing stuff and has to be quiet but just doesn't. And yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. But
yeah, want to play it a little bit.
Yeah, I might hop in and play that and then just call it. I want to play with like a full 4-man though, but who knows?
We can arrange that.
I don't know. Sure. We'll see. I know Joe is always down to play Overwatch. Anyway, I just want to talk about those. That's basically all the big news we have for this week. But because we are lucky enough to have someone on the show who saw a film that just came out recently, I wanted to talk about that a little bit tonight. Levi, you went and saw a little film called A Quiet Place, right?
Yes. No munchies.
What?
Do not bring munchies.
Oh, yeah, gotcha.
Munchies.
So,
I'm telling you now, you're gonna feel like an asshole.
we're gonna talk about it for a little bit, and then I'm gonna flip the old spoiler switch here, so that way Levi can talk as freely as you want. So if you want to go and see this film and you want to hear a little bit about it, Levi's gonna talk about it spoiler free for a bit, and then we'll go into spoilers. But we will let you know when we're gonna do that. So Levi, do you want to tell us like a little bit about the film and how you feel about it? How would you review it, and like would you recommend it? So.
Okay, so at the climax of the film. Okay, so going into this film, this is John Krasinski's directorial debut. Lot was writing.
He's done 3.
I think this is his first.
I was told he's done 3 movies. Anyway, keep going. I'll fact check it.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, this is definitely riding on like his directorial debut as like a big blockbuster. He had, A Quiet Place coming out, and then is it Jordan Peele? Jordan Peele had a Get Out coming out, and they were both kind of like aimed to really take over with their big projects. And the movie is phenomenal. It has such a setting to it. It is obviously very quiet.
What is the setting exactly?
It's like a farm. I mean, they don't really tell you exactly where it is, but it's on a farm somewhere in the world. And it's very very quiet. Obviously, don't bring munchies. Like I said, you're gonna feel like an asshole because you get very, very rare chances to eat or make any kind of noise at all because the theater is dead quiet. It's also very big, like deaf. Lots of sign language in the movie too, as well.
And why is it that way? Why does it have to be so quiet?
They have to be really quiet because the planet is taken over by these aliens, and these aliens can kill you in a second if they can hear you. So they have to be extremely quiet. When the family is already, reeling from a lot of tragedy, and they're trying to just survive, and get through life.
Okay, cool. So would you recommend that people go see this film?
If you're a fan of horror movies, fan of suspense, and fan of really good dramatic performances, and absolutely, I'd recommend it.
I remember you telling me like you felt like if you liked Jurassic Park, for instance, like you might like this. Why would you say that? Is it because of the thrilling suspense?
Much suspense. There's just so much suspense, and the kids really put a lot into that as well, and it definitely gives you that Jurassic Park feel when you're watching the movie too.
Okay, that makes perfect sense then. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Was there anything else you want to say before I flip the old spoiler switch here?
No. I mean, just go into it with, don't go into it with any expectations because it's definitely different. It's a different kind of horror film. You're not used to this kind of film. So.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to pull it.
Pull it.
Okay. I thought you said hold it for a second. I was like, oh no. Okay. Spoil it, Levi. Spoil the movie for us.
So the movie's trash. No, just
convinced a bunch of people to go see it.
So the film is great. They're facing these aliens that they obviously can hear everything, and they have these kind of membranes in their head that they can really hear everything. And what really hurts them is like supersonic waves. So John Krasinski is working on a project throughout the whole movie of these what are they called? Like ear monitors, like hearing aids that emit a frequency that'll hurt these monsters. And it is very kind of cliche. John Krasinski, he does die. He does die at the end of the film to save his kids. You kind of see it coming, just like with his tone in the film. And he's kind of getting his son ready to go to take over and take care of their mom as they get older. But they figure out how to kill the aliens. They find out that if they emit this frequency, it kind of stuns them, and then like you can just shoot them right in the head, pretty much. Other than that, they have like an armor hide that is impenetrable. Very dangerous. I mean, they lose a kid in the first like minute of the movie, so you're just like, holy crap, that happened. And then all of a sudden, they're reeling from that loss, and they've just got to learn to survive. She's pregnant with another one on the way. They have to figure out how to keep it quiet, because if they can't keep it quiet, they're screwed. So.
Sure. Was the monster design pretty cool looking? Like, what do these things look like?
Good question. I think that was the only maybe drawback for me, is that the CG was a little weird for the monster design. Obviously, this was a lower budget film. You can't really tell until you see like some of the more special effects, which is there's very little. But that also makes for a cool film too, that it doesn't rely on a lot of special effects. They can rely on just acting and other areas of the movie. Something I really loved about this film is that they really pushed to have a deaf actress play in this film. So she's actually deaf the whole time. It's great. And they really show that side of the deaf community, and I think that's awesome. And I mean, you don't know that she's deaf.
Sure, but it's a genuine portrayal. It's not just like if you taught one of us a bunch of hand signs. It's just like, okay.
It's a genuine portrayal, yeah. And I feel like the deaf community is going to really appreciate that.
Yeah, which, in a weird way, like that, having that, drawback or disability would be even worse with these things, because you wouldn't necessarily know if you were making any noise. And like, if this thing was coming at you, you might never know it. And just be like, you're gone. Because like these things they just kind of come by and just take you, like you're gone.
Yeah, they're in the woods, and if they hear anything, they're super fast, super strong, and you're dead. I mean, that's what happens at the beginning of the film. They're on like a scavenger for like supplies, for medicine, and the little boy, he finds this rocket ship, and they're like, no, John Krasinski's like, no, it's too loud. You can't take this with you. So he leaves the toy there with the batteries, and then she actually puts the toy in his pack and says, no, it's okay, you can keep it. But then she doesn't see that the boy grabs the batteries. While they're walking across this bridge, he pops the batteries back in the toy, makes a lot of noise, dead.
Okay.
And then family's just like, they never really recover from it.
I forget, is this a PG-13 film? Like, you don't see this kid get
I think it is. No, he's gone. Like, but he's just taken, and it's like, holy shit, that just happened. So
okay, yeah, I've heard the sound design's really good in this. Would you say that it is?
Very good. Yes, the way that they really tone it, like I said, it's very quiet. So the way they bring in the tone and just really make that get that tone to work just right for this movie, it can be a little annoying at times, because you're just like frozen and you're like, oh my god, like you really can hear everything in the theater. It's super quiet.
Yeah. Do they have like a good? Is there any music at all like during this stuff?
Not really. I mean, I think that there was a little bit of music some points. Yeah, there's a little bit of like dramatic music here and there. And then obviously there's parts where like they do have to make noise, and then things happen. So
cool.
Jimmy and I are going to go see it soon together, and we're going to get his reaction on it.
I'm tempted to see it, because I'm not really, I've told people all the time, I'm not a big fan of horror films. This one sounds more of like a suspense film, more in like the vein of Jurassic Park, and that's more my speed, because I can't really separate and get away from the thought of some of these creepy things, like when I go home and like trying to sleep, like thinking like a xenomorph is going to crawl into my bed. Usually not those things. It's usually like more of like a Hannibal Lecter or Scream or something like that, where it's just like a person that just you can't kill, or is just super creepy, and I'm like, but then again, like sometimes it takes a monster to kill a monster. Yeah, I'm that monster. Anyway,
there's a very realistic feel to this film. You'll really enjoy it, and I'm excited to hear your reception of it next week because I think we're gonna go see it next Wednesday.
Well, yeah, I do want to see it.
We
Well, I know
probably
$5
should.
Tuesday.
Tuesday, damn.
Yeah, I want. Well, we could.
Fuck it, I'll go with you. Challenge is over.
We'll see. What? Anyway, I want.
Oh,
I really.
MTV's the challenge. It's over now. So.
Oh, okay. Well, thank goodness. I hate to live my life like that. Anyway, I do want to see it though. I've been intrigued by this. The only thing that scares me is that it is very dependent, I think, on the audience like participation. Because like just one person doing anything, I'm sure would ruin any tension if it was just like every
Not
shot.
necessarily. Like you still had to hear people move a little bit, and it wasn't their fault. But I'm honestly, I don't think the theater's gonna be that packed next week, so I think it'll be okay.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so. Well, I thought this would be another one, and someone also had said this, like, what if they would release this to Netflix and then everybody would be watching at home with like headphones on or just like in your own space? I was like, this would be a perfect like streaming movie as well.
It's gonna be a great home theater movie, absolutely.
For sure. And I like it's hard because now that they've done this, like no one else can do it without being compared to it, which is fine. But did they leave it open to a sequel?
I don't see why not. While we're talking about spoilers, like they don't all die. So it's just really John that gives his life up to help his kids, which is really, I think it's kind of dumb. I think he could have fought the monster better. Maybe he couldn't. You'll have to see.
Yeah.
But he teaches his son how to take care of the mom and the sisters. So
did they kill all the aliens?
They kill one, and then they see two coming, and then because they know that there's 3 in the area.
Okay.
It's very what's the game called? That's Naughty Dog.
Oh, you're talking about The Last of Us.
Last of Us, yes, very Last of Us. Very clicker. Gotcha. The monsters are very clicker-like. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
Gotcha. I've also heard people compare this movie to Signs, and I know that you like Signs, right?
Oh, yes. I definitely compared it to Signs. You will not go walking through a cornfield anytime soon after watching this movie. Okay. Terrified me to no end. It is a scary film. You're gonna jump, James.
Yeah, I've heard they have a lot of jump scares. Would you say this is like on par with Signs, more or less? Where would you say?
That's.
I know it's hard.
That's a hard question. So the suspense is there. The alien factor though is different.
Yeah.
This is a well-established threat that's been going on in the world for a while, and they know about it. The thing with Signs is like these aliens are just now coming to Earth, so
sure. Yeah,
they've been dealing with this for a while, so they're not like, oh my god, this is here.
Watching Joaquin Phoenix's reaction to that TV when he sees it on the news, or when he's like freaking out because you see it like walk through an alleyway, it's like yeah.
Still scares me. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So does it also have kind of like the slow burn and build up that Signs did, where it's like you know that these things are out there eventually coming in, but like you don't get that interaction with them? Like
it's sprinkled pretty well throughout the film, so I think it's fine. Like there's no there's no part where it's like, I mean, it goes pretty quick.
The performances
jumps into it real quick.
Okay, the performances are pretty good though. Like Emily Blunt's pretty good too.
Spot on. Performances are great. John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, great cast. There's a reason why this film is doing so well.
Yeah, well, I've heard that it had a better opening weekend, I think, than Get Out did.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great. Yeah, like that's impressive. It seems like some of these horror suspense movies are getting like a big following, and like where you'd be like, oh, that's not going to make any money. It's like, well, it doesn't need to do super well to make a lot of money, and just be a good film.
I thought I was going to get pulled out of John's character a little bit, but I wasn't, just because he was Jim from The Office. I thought that was going to pull me out of the realm, but it really didn't. It added to it. I mean, Jim's a great actor. I mean, you can't really tell that from The Office because of their thing, but I mean,
Yeah, John. I mean, John's such a good actor. You call him Jim. It's like, but you see the guy play the same person for 9 seasons, and it's hard not to look at this person and say, "Yep, I know that guy. Like, I know exactly who you are." It's like seeing like Rainn Wilson, the guy who plays Dwight, in anything else. You're like, "Oh, hey, it's Dwight." You just like right away.
Maybe we should go see it this weekend.
I don't know. I do want to see it though. I want to see it.
I want to get you guys an update on what Jimmy's thoughts are. So
yeah, that, and I know people are like, "You should go see Ready Player One. You'd love it." And I'm like, I don't know.
No. We don't support that junk on this channel.
I don't
That's
know.
just something like we should be supporting on this channel, but we know better.
Well, I don't know. I've heard like mixed things about it, and some people say it's amazing, some people don't, and it's like, I don't think it's an IMAX anymore. I'm not sure. Anyway, but so on a scale from 1 to 10, because we are Critical Reviews, we review things. Levi, what do you give A Quiet Place?
Okay, I give it. You're gonna hate me, but I give it like a 9.5 out of 10.
why do you always do that? Like, it's not that I hate you. It's just that I know that in like 2 weeks you're gonna be like, it's more like an 8. Like, you know, like you even thought about it for a second.
I've been sitting on this movie for a while, and I was collecting my thoughts on it as I was watching it, and I know what I based it off of, and my expectations were super high because I knew it was like Signs.
Okay.
And it really met my expectations.
Well, dude,
so
that's fine.
The acting was there, the story was there, the settings were there, the suspense was there, the everything about it was phenomenal. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a strong 9.5 out of 10.
Dude, that is totally fine. And that's like, I mean, that's your score for it. And I haven't seen it yet, so like we can just go with like what you said. So obviously you recommend people to see this regardless if they're into this sort of thing or not. So
the big drawback, like I said, 5 points would be taken away just for the fact of the aliens looking a little odd when they're super close up, but
yeah. And like I said, I only say this to you because I know we've come out of many a Marvel film and you're like 9.8 and I'm like 9.8? Like you just to everything?
Yes. My rating for Thor has gone down. Yes, in case you're all wondering. My rating for Black Panther still stands strong.
That's because that movie stands strong, baby. It's a good movie.
Is phenomenal.
Yeah, man. What it's like, I can't believe it surpassed Titanic. I'm like, oh my god. Like, or whatever. Didn't it surpass that? Like,
yeah, they really hit the nail on the head with that.
Yeah, man. Well, and also just it struck a lot of chords.
Especially at a time where Marvel was in such a dire need for a shakeup.
Well, shakeup as far as like just not having just only white people in your movies. Like that's the shakeup because it's the same formula as all the Phase 1 Marvel films. Like,
no, I mean just like it's
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, okay, cool. Well, we'll move on from there because we don't need to talk about A Quiet Place any longer. But if you guys have seen Quiet Place, I want you to let me know what you think of it. Please tweet us anytime or comment down below. I do want to hear it because I'm interested. I want this to be a dialogue. So, all right, Levi, it's that time of the show that you like to call, that I like to call, that we like to call. And guess what? I'm doing it this time. It's Timekillers. That's right. It's time for Timekillers. The games we've been playing, the movies we've been watching, the TV shows we've been viewing. Levi, you watched A Quiet Place. What else have you been doing, man?
I've been playing some WoW as per the usual. Streaming some Fortnite here at Critical Reviews. Super Hot. Super Hot's really fun.
Yeah, man, I gotta get it.
I like that game. It's really fun, actually. I love the indies.
Did I tell you my joke is that I'm gonna try to do a let's play of it, but then I'm just gonna speed it up and I won't move in the camera, but I will just speed up everything else so it looks like in my first try I just did it perfectly. Like
do it.
Yeah. But I want to try that game. It looks sweet.
Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah.
Cool.
About it for me. We're taking a break from Monster Hunter right now. So.
Okay, it's not that we're taking a break. It's that they're doing this Spring Blossom Festival event or whatever. But I do want to get back to it. I do want to take down, I think, Devil Joe. We fought him, Levi. We didn't.
Yeah, we fought him. We just didn't take him down.
Well, he ran away. Like when you're on expedition and they run away, it's like just so heartbreaking. Anyway. Okay, so that's what you've been doing. I've been playing a lot of stuff. So I've been watching a lot of Naruto Shippuden. I've been watching the Fourth Great Ninja War. I've been going back to that because I don't think I actually watched it. I read it, but I didn't watch it. And it's just cool to go back. And I'm going to put myself on record saying that for the long-running anime, and that's anything over like 60 to 100 episodes, Naruto is my absolute favorite anime. When I watch that show, I legitimately get emotional. Especially when it comes to like Shikamaru and Asuma and all that stuff. Like,
I agree.
Or watching Naruto. Spoiler alert! Like when he convenes with his mom, like it is like it just is a stab in the heart, and it's beautiful. It is so well done. There's so much emotion. Like I know people love like Dragon Ball Z, and I haven't gotten through all of that, and I know there's some emotion there, but that one's just like so cool to be cool in that one. But like Naruto's just so like just seeing people come together and just it's beautiful. I love it so much.
There's a reason why Naruto is the biggest anime out there ever.
It's just so good. It's so good. And just watching the growth of those characters too, like all of them just like literally growing up is like oh my gosh, and seeing them come back together, it's so good. Anyway. I'm playing some games. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Rogue Remastered, which I plan on still reviewing. It's been a little while, but it's been fun. I recommend if you like Black Flag and you want to play like that again, but like a little bit updated and play as like a Templar or a bad guy, like this is the game to play. It's got the fun naval combats back, and kind of doing like hunting down assassins is a nice little twist. It's pretty much the same formula, but yeah, it's cool. It's a really cool game. And I've also been playing Rise of the Tomb Raider. Which I think the Tomb Raider franchise, this reboot, is desperately underrated. I think that people just talk about Uncharted and that's it. This is like Uncharted for adults, and I'm not
Are we
kidding.
gonna get a stream for this?
Maybe. I have a video idea in mind for it, but I absolutely love, like, this game's so much fun. It is so much, there's like open world segments to it. It is brutal. Lara is actually like a cool, like, just like she seems like a person that could exist. Like, she doesn't seem like the old school Lara Croft, which is just like a fake, like, doesn't, like, just weird crazy supermodel. But like, I like this character, and just like watching her struggle and fight through this is so much fun. The combat's better than Uncharted. It's a lot of fun. There's bow and arrow, lots of guns and things to choose from, and it is brutal. I mean, you're like taking your pickaxe and like burying it in a dude's head. Like, it's like, oh, like, wow. Or not like a climbing axe or whatever.
I kind of remember this game being free for a bit. Was that true? Was it a games for free?
Okay.
Games for gold at one point?
I think Tomb Raider, the first one, the reboot, was potentially games with gold, but not this new one, I don't think. Okay. And they have this out. They just put this on Xbox Games Pass, and they just talked about the Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which is coming in September. And I haven't really seen too much on that, but that's coming up, so that's going to be like the third installment. But the first game was really good. I like this one. It's got more varied locales, and it's just a fun game. Like, it's good. I really recommend anybody playing it. And if you have Games Pass, that $10 thing, because I got it for like Sea of Thieves, and I'm not playing that. So I'm playing this, and I want to get through it before, And this was the launch title, right? For the one that they brought as a launch title over to Xbox One as well, the rebuffed one? The rebooted, like, I've got like the Tomb Raider, so I had like the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition, which was they put out, and I think the reboot started on this next gen consoles, and then this was the second one that came out. What is this one called? This one's called Rise of the Tomb Raider, and it was out exclusively for a year first, I think, on Xbox, or 6 months. They had like some deal that you could only get it on Xbox for like a bit, and then you could get it on PlayStation. Oh, okay, yeah, gotten really good reviews. So yeah, I just really liked it. I really do enjoy it. And I think that if you like Uncharted and you have like any want to go and play that, but like with better combat, I would say. Why do you feel like people sleep on this game? I think people sleep on it because the only cool character, I will admit, is Lara. Like, everybody else is pretty boring. But I think people sleep on it because it isn't the exact, or it kind of wants to be Uncharted, for sure, in some of their set pieces. But I will say this, when I'm running away from something, like in a cutscene thing, or like you're running, it's not a cutscene, Lara's running forward, it's not running towards the camera, like that thing that they love to do in Uncharted games. And Crash Bandicoot, I think, is the same way. I get it, you can see cool stuff happening behind you. But anyway, but I think people sleep on it just because it was like, oh, like, Lara's here and she wants to be Nathan Drake, but she's gory and edgy. But I think it's just so cool, man. I respect it. And I think I like her maybe more than Nate, because Nate's like fine to me, but the extended cast in Uncharted is much better. Like, they're much cooler. But I would say check it out. And man, I love the climbing mechanics in the game. It feels really good. Just the combat is fun. I love sneaking around and just like putting people down with the bow. That's one of my favorite things to do in games. So yeah, I highly recommend it if you have the chance to pick it up. And it's probably pretty cheap. And the first one is probably really cheap right now. So if you have the chance, check out Tomb Raider Definitive Edition on Xbox One or PlayStation 4. I'm sure they're both there. But yeah, I think you get a kick out of it. You like third person action adventure, and the tombs, they have more tombs in this game, more optional tombs, and it's like the puzzles aren't that hard, but they're hard just enough to give you a little bit of a kind of a teaser for your brain. I'm like, oh, cool. I just really like it. I really do enjoy it. If you guys ever wondered, this is why it's difficult to keep any money in your wallet when you're doing shows like this with Jimmy, because he makes you want to buy these games. I'm sorry. He's a good salesman. I know. It's like I could talk about it for hours. But yeah, if you guys have any other specific questions, or Levi, if you do you have anything else you want to know about the game before I move on? No. Just that I want to play Far Cry and Tomb Raider. Far Cry, yeah. Which, okay, by the way, I have encountered a horrible, like, there's a weird bug at the end if you take a certain ending to Far Cry. So I'm trying to figure that out. But thankfully, Joe has a copy, so I know how the game's ended because we reviewed it and all that. But or I'm more or less. But I can't get back into the free roam of that game right now, which is like, it's very frustrating. Yeah, they won't let me. It's very frustrating. But hopefully they'll Is this a known issue? Yes, it is a known issue. Okay. So let's hope. But yeah, which I was thinking, like, I just like Ubisoft games. Just in general, like, the more I think about it, I'm like, I like Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell, Far Cry. I'm like, yeah. What other things? A little bit of Fortnite with you, which has been interesting. I don't know, it's fine. We play for a little bit, and it's not like I'm like sucked in, but
Yeah.
Uh,
Just
yeah.
something to kill some time with.
Also, I'm like this close to beating Cuphead. It took me 2.5 hours to beat the Dice King the other day, but I did it, and I'm going after the devil. Like the devil himself's going down. I can't wait to beat that game because like in my mind, Levi, I was like, I'll go back and I'm gonna get like A's on all of these, and I'm like, I don't know if I'll do that. I might just be like, I beat it. Walk away. It's like Bloodborne. I'm like, I beat it. Walk
when you
away.
got that muscle memory down, there's no stopping you.
Oh, I love that game still. I seriously, if you haven't picked up Cuphead yet, that's another one on Xbox. Please check it out. It's one of their only like exclusives right now.
I still got to beat that game too.
Ah, it's so good, dude. We should play co-op. I don't know if they have the online yet. That'd be sweet. Anyway, I think that's pretty much everything. A little bit of XCOM 2 here and there. Movies, nope, just Naruto. All right, Levi, it's time to move on to the last segment of the show: community feedback
and questions.
And questions. Let me write that down. Perfect. I asked our lovely community, what's the most terrifying monster movie or just monster in film to them? And they put out some terrifying gifs. This is, oh my gosh. Okay, whoa, this is freaking me out. All right, anyway, our friend look_a_person, hey Nat, she said Furbies, but she said, real talk though, The Mask and Flubber both spooked me as a kid.
Yeah.
I just did not like the green. I was talking to Levi about this beforehand. The Mask, especially when the evil guy gets the mask, like that is freaky. Like I also don't like.
I was too young to watch that.
Remember Goosebumps, Levi? And there's like an episode where a kid goes out on Halloween, puts a mask on, and can't take it off. Like that's been like a fear, like of mine. Like that's weird claustrophobia. Like putting a mask on, and you just can't get it off.
Yeah, I was too young.
Missile Mage sent me a nice little gif of The Ring, the little girl from The Ring, which scarred me as a child. And my mom, to counteract that, rented 9 to 5. A story about 3 women, Dolly Parton included, trying to pull one over on their boss. Didn't really work and save me, but I will always look back on 9 to 5 fondly for trying to help me figure that out. Van Athena C says clowns. You know the one. Fragan just sent me this, said, oh mama, this is a toughie. And he sent me this terrifying gif of this woman chasing a child down a hall very quickly. And then Lil_Res_writer sends in anything zombie related, zombies and Silent Hill monsters, if you count the film adaptations. Yeah, I haven't really gotten into those Silent Hill adaptations, Levi. Have you? I haven't really gotten into Silent Hill, to be honest.
No.
Is there any one for you, man, that like sticks out to you as like the scariest? Because I know I talked a little bit about mine, but
I think aliens freak me out. Yeah. That's why Signs, like when I was younger, Signs really struck a chord with me that like this shit could happen. Like it's gonna happen someday. And
wait, it's gonna happen?
Oh yeah. We're gonna get attacked by aliens, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's definitely happening.
Yeah.
So I talk about this a lot, but I went to Disney recently, and one that scarred me as a child was the original villain from Disney cartoons, from like their big cartoon movies, and that is the Wicked Queen from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, it's not the queen herself, it's that when she transforms into an old woman, kind of like Jafar does in Aladdin,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
freaks me out. Legit,
I love that gif of her. You know which one I'm talking about.
I don't know. She freaks
she's
me
like
out.
She's like closing the cupboard door, and she's like going.
Oh yeah, she's like yeah. She like a creepy old woman who's just like out to get you. Like yeah, like I said, I was in Disneyland recently, and I went on the Snow White Scary Adventures ride, and seeing her pop out of multiple locations is not something I'm about. Like I know it's fake, but it still gets me. Like she's a horror movie villain to me. That's yeah, geez. Okay, well,
I just sent it to you.
Did you? Yeah, she's just so freaky. She's like, I'm doing it. That's pretty good. All right. So let's move on to
people use that GIF a lot, like leaving your work early with all the coworkers still stuck there. It's like, bye.
Yeah, bye. All right, we got some great questions coming in from Lil Red Rider. She asks us, hashtag critical podcast. Thank you. That's how you reach us. What was the most memorable book you have ever read and loved? What was it about, and why did you like it? Would this be something you'd like to see become a movie, show, video game? Why not? What makes a good movie adaptation of a book? Levi, let's just start with the beginning there. Book. Like, is there any book that you think back to fondly that when you were a kid?
Goblet of Fire.
Goblet of Fire. Dude, that's really... You know what? I think of the day I started reading that. It was fourth grade. And I remember where I was sitting. It was like that. It was like, I don't know, it was like Dr. Seuss Day, where it was like you just read all day. And I started that book that day, and I'll never forget it. It was like
Goblet of Fire was one of the best, and still is one of the best pieces of young adult literature out there that you can ever read. Really gets you going into the reading world for young kids, and we were very lucky to grow up with Harry Potter.
But why specifically Goblet of Fire?
One that was the biggest book that we ever read at that time. 1,000+ pages. It's a Bible.
Yeah, pretty much, dude.
Really kicks the Harry Potter, really kicks the real story of Harry Potter off. I mean, because the first 3 movies is starting to get you familiar with the world. The fourth one is when the real threat begins and everything starts. Because then you see through the next 5-6 films is, you know, there's a race issue, there's like all these magic issues, there's like this Dark Lord issue, all these underlying themes that really come to life in Harry Potter. A lot of stuff that kind of shocked you as a kid, because we weren't used to that. We weren't used to reading these kind of issues yet, you know?
Yeah.
Harry Potter was kind of jarring for some kids back then.
Are you talking like with the elf issue? Is that the race issue?
Oh no, the Mudblood issue, like all the
yeah.
And I don't know if we can say Mudblood on the podcast, but we just did. So.
Yeah, we did. Sorry.
And yeah, I mean, it was the first big piece of story too that you really dug into as a kid, and it's great.
I think that
I didn't even have to hesitate. Goblet of Fire.
that was amazing. I think that Prisoner of Azkaban, if that's a foot into the darkness, then Goblet is like you're jumping into it, because not only does it blow open the world of Harry Potter by introducing other schools and like a cool event, that's right when stuff really gets serious and people start dying, and it's like, oh my gosh, and like Voldemort's like, here I'm back, baby, and you're like, oh, there's a whole snake.
And you're like, Mom, can I read this?
Yeah, exactly. You're like, which is funny because I remember my mom getting a copy of the first book, Sorcerer's Stone, before it became like extremely popular, because my mom used to be a school teacher, so she used to kind of know when like the books that were going to blow up were coming through, and she had me read it, and I was like, oh, it's pretty good. And she was just one of those things that like people were like, is it about like witchcraft and stuff, and like is J.K. Rowling trying to pollute the youth? And it's like, everybody calm down, all right. But yeah, man, for that, Goblet of Fire is my favorite Harry Potter book, and I think you kind of answered that question she has there about should it be like, would you want to see this adapted into a film? And that was the one I was the most excited about, because I was like, oh, cool. It's like Goblet of Fire is here. And seeing that finally come to fruition was really cool. They did leave out a bit from the book, which they had to do, but like the links, or the Sphinx, I should say, not the links, but I wish they would have put the Sphinx in there. I didn't. But yeah, I like Goblet of Fire. I think it's really good. And I think it's a good adaptation of that book, because it doesn't shy away from going way into the darkness. Like, it doesn't shy away from getting into a lot of the problems that Harry starts to like legitimately face. Instead of like looking away from those problems, they're like, here is Cedric. You like Cedric. He's a fine person. He's kind of a bad guy, but he's also like a good guy. Like, he's an antagonist to Harry, but he's not a villain. And like watching him be a casualty of war, and you're like, they killed that kid? Like, you're like,
not to mention Robert Pattinson later on.
I know, yeah. It's like, but yeah, is there anything specifically about the film adaptation that you think does a really good job of transferring the soul of the book onto the silver screen?
Well, let's be real. That was a big project to undertake, to condense a 1,000-page book into one single movie.
Yeah.
They had to make some cuts, but I feel like for the most part, they really hit the nail on the head. Yeah, like you said, going from Prisoner of Azkaban, which started this dark kind of darkness, and to really let it start boiling, it flings right open and in a Goblet of Fire.
Yeah, and I think from even the beginning sequence where you see the caretaker, like they don't shy away from that. They're like right away. They're like, and here we go.
And they did the dragon some justice. I want to be real with that. That looked good.
That thing.
Warner Brothers, like that was looking good.
And it's just cool to see a dragon flying around Hogwarts, man. Like, it's just like so pure, like high fantasy. Like, it just, and that thing is, and I love the way that its flamethrower like looks like a legit flamethrower. Like, he's looks like a gasoline tank just shooting out flame. It's like, whoa.
That's why those books and films are so cemented in pop culture so much, because they they really did it justice. They did a great job of the casting, the set pieces, just the magic. They really brought it to life.
Yeah, and they didn't spare any expense on it. That's the big thing. It's like with these books, I think a lot of times when they like make it into a film, it just like takes away the magic because you put the magic in there when it's just a book. But then when you see it on screen, it's like, here's how this person looks, here's how this setting looks, here's how this is going down. And if you don't see it exactly the same way, that's when it starts to be problematic. Whereas with the Harry Potter books and the movies, that I felt like they married it so well, and it was so close to what I envisioned that I was like, oh yeah, this is perfect. Like there's only a few things like Snape looks pretty different, and he's a little bit older, I think, than like the Snape in the books. But like he's a great Snape. Like I wouldn't want him to be anybody else. I'm like, he's great, you know. It's just like everybody was just like pretty spot on, and that's the biggest thing. So good on you, man. Goblet of Fire. Dang, you like took mine.
Did you ever read the Boxcar Children?
I've heard of them.
I liked the Boxcar Children too. I mean, definitely not on the same page as Harry Potter, but
I thought of it, Levi. Apparently, I don't think somebody told me recently they did like a TV series. Anyway, Redwall.
Oh, Redwall would be great.
Yes,
those were hard books to read though when you were a kid.
They were so hard to read. Yeah, but seeing a little mouse on the cover of a book with a sword fighting something is like, it stirred something in me. It stirred me enough to write fan fiction before I knew what fan fiction was. And I would love to see a Redwall big budget film made by like Disney Animation Studios. Oh my gosh. Like not Pixar, because they just want to make you cry. I want to watch Disney Animation Studios. People made Moana, people made Tangled, Frozen. Let's let them do it. But I would love to see that, man. Oh my gosh. Or have Jon Favreau do it. Have Jon Favreau do like the live action one, because he did Jungle Book, he's doing Lion King. Have him do Redwall. Come on. Like this is perfect.
I always find it so hard to feel like I was like, that dude helped direct Iron Man? Like,
I know, it's like Happy. You're like Happy Hogan? You're like, yeah, man. It's like but that,
and then any fans of Friends will watch him too as Monica's boyfriend. You're like, what?
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true.
He was like, so skinny then.
Yeah, it's weird to think like Iron Man is just like they're just kind of making up as they want. Anyway,
yeah,
I want that to be that. I want Redwall really badly because that sounds like the coolest thing. What are the questions you have here? Will this be something you'd like to see become a movie? For sure. A video game. A video game would be sick. A Redwall video game, if there isn't one, like a good. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Just faithful adaptation. And the thing is, that's so cool. If you start with Redwall, you could do prequel stuff with Martin, I believe, and then you could go to Matteo eventually. Like, man. Oh, it'd be so good. It'd be so good. I love that. Just basically, if you don't know what Redwall is, it's a bunch of anthropomorphic animals that are in a medieval time that are fighting each other to the death. That's pretty much it. Like, there's more
graphic.
Like, it is graphic, and I loved it. I was like,
I walked upon my badger parents dead in a river. It's like, what?
Yep. Like badgers, lynxes, like moles, voles, like snakes, rats, mice. Like, oh man, it's great. It's so cool. Anyway, I love it. All right. Next question comes in from Ryan Lehman, our buddy. It says, what is one older game that you think people might have overlooked but is still worth a playthrough today? What's an older game, Levi? Should we just like force ourselves to say like N64? Like, you know, because that's...
Yeah, I think that's fair.
What N64 game? I will be a stalwart defender of this game to the bitter end, and I really want a sequel, but Pokemon Snap. It is the best on-rail shooter you will ever play. I'm not kidding. Infinite replayability. It's great to be in that world in a 3D space of Pokemon that you just like do not get or didn't get at the time, like on a console. Like it's just so wonderful.
I'm gonna be so mad at you if that's like what they're releasing this year.
No, what it's gonna be
Pokemon Nintendo Switch Snap.
It's gonna be Snap and Stadium put together, but also free roam like Breath of the Wild.
Okay.
You know it. It's coming,
Pokemon but traders just like flying down through Hyrule.
Well, the problem is, I think a lot of people overlooked it, maybe because they're like, like, you know, it's just stupid. Like, it's not like real Pokemon. Like, they're not fighting each other. But like seeing these Pokemon like not be forced into a battle is cool. Like, I like to see them in their natural habitat. Like, I'm like, that's sweet. And somebody joked like a Charmeleon. I was on another podcast. He's like, yeah, the Charmeleon just walking around like lava, like a lava thing for just his entire life until you knock him in. And it's like, yeah, they kind of force you into certain things, but. I would say that one for me. That's one I think I would say give a look. Even today, it holds up. It's very fun. It's very fun. So, how about you, Levi? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd have to say like Smash for N64 Ocarina of Time.
Wait,
Probably.
which? No, that's not like one that's overlooked. I mean, people love that game. It has to
Oh,
be one.
overlooked.
Yeah, it's overlooked.
An old game that's overlooked.
I mean, Ocarina of Time should be overlooked.
I think a lot of people did sleep on Banjo-Kazooie. I know that it's like a cult classic now, but I feel like it was overlooked by the Spyros, the the other things. I think in Donkey Kong, yeah, I feel like it was kind of
Yeah, I'll say this. I went back to it recently, and it's tough. It's tough to recommend it. It's a collectathon,
yeah.
and it's just I don't know, like the world
But a
building and
lot of
all
people
that.
like it. A lot of people
Yeah,
really like
I know. Well, a lot of people like a lot of things. Like,
it.
but that's okay. Is that the one you're going with though? I don't want to take it away from you. I don't want. Push back on
Sure.
Snap if you're like Jimmy Snap. That's so stupid.
No, that's what I'm going with.
You want Banjo? Okay. I was trying to think of like another one. One that I will say from 360. I like to look at like I've got my games and movies like right up here. One that I will fight for: Warhammer 40K Space Marine on Xbox 360, maybe on PS3. Amazingly fun third-person action game. Get health back by like snapping orcs' heads and ripping them in half. Go play that game. It is so much fun. It is so good. Please play it. It's so good, and it's underrated. It's fun.
Game. That's funny.
I like having an IP like that, Levi, that's like an RTS. It's like, what if Blizzard looked at that and said, like, all right, you know what? We do RTS for Warcraft and it's an MMO, but let's make an Arthas third-person action game. You know I'd be there day one. Like, yeah. Everyone would be buying that game. It'd be like, play as Arthas, as a paladin, and then the halfway point, you're like, nope, you're the Lich King. You're like, that would be so cool. That's the hope. Anyway, there you go. If you ever have a question for us, because I believe that is all the questions we have time for this week, Levi, we've moved through it so quickly. We've been so efficient. We've been so good. But if you have a question for us, just tweet the hashtag Critical Podcast to either of us. You can tweet at our formal account, which is at GoCritical, capital G and a capital C, or you can tweet at me personally. I am at JimmyGood013. If you'd like to tweet at Levi, you can tweet at...
I'm at Levi Fletcher.
That's right. Levi, just like the jeans. I don't know why I feel like I have to say these things for people. I did the same thing for Joe one week. I was like, Lever just like Beaver. If you want to see us streaming, though, like Levi was talking about, check us out, twitch.tv/critical reviews, and hang out with us. Levi's been streaming some of the weeknights. I'm usually on during the day and sometimes on the weekends, too. But yeah, maybe show off some Tomb Raider soon. I think people would like that. I really love it. That's so good. Let's see what else. Oh, I want to thank a few people. I want to thank This Is Daleb for our intro outro music. It is so good. And I want to thank the one and only Joran Evers, the guy who does pretty much all the art you see here on the show. If you would like to get a commission from him, check him out. He's at Niraj28 or at Jade Circle Art over on Twitter, but also check out his Instagram too. He posts stuff on there from time to time. Looks so good. However, if you want to support Joran and you want to support us at the same time, check out patreon.com/critical reviews. Throw in a couple of bucks. We really appreciate it. You get a really cool custom avatar with your face on it. And if you donate at the highest level, you can customize every little thing on there. But if you start at $1 and you go up to $5, we'll put your face on the new avatar. So like you upgrade. So when you see these pictures of all these guys, like that's you climbing the ranks. So yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's cool. Plus there's also other benefits like getting this podcast a day early if you are at the $5 level or conscripts. So thank you guys so much for hanging out. Levi, thank you, man, for telling us about A Quiet Place. I had a fun time chatting with you, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say to the Legionnaires before we head out? Do you have anything like some parting wisdom?
Go see A Quiet Place. Tell me how it is. Tweet at me. I want to hear it.
Perfect.
I want to hear your thoughts.
All right. Well, there you go. Well, I'll have to go see it now too. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Just remember to adapt and overcome. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.